Tanaiste and Minister for Foreign Affairs, Simon Coveney. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure. Firstly, why are you in Waterford today?
Well, I'm in Waterford today because it's a general election. I'm here with John Cummins in Waterford City this morning, and later I'll be with Damien Tiernan in Dungarvan. We've got three new but really good candidates that have been very successful in local government, and they want to get into the Dáil, and we are really serious about supporting both of them in doing that, and reminding people that Waterford needs to be and is a big priority in government. I mean, we have a very exciting plan for growth and expansion in this city. We want Waterford City really to be the economic engine for the southeast, which it can be. But for that to happen, there needs to be significant public investment. There also needs to be a clear policy to develop and grow Waterford, city and county. And we have that in the 2040 plan, which essentially wants to see the cities outside of Dublin grow at twice the pace of Dublin over the next 20 years. And that means adding about 35,000 people to the population of Waterford City, which means more schools. It means a university here. It means more investment in healthcare, particularly at the hospital, and of course it means more jobs. And there's a big project, as people will know, on the North Quays that needs both policy certainty and significant funding from the state, and it'll get both.
What are you going to do regarding the development of the North Quays in Waterford? Are you guaranteeing, as the Taoiseach said yesterday, tens of millions to see this project over the line?
Absolutely. This isn't a new announcement by Fine Gael. I mean, the North Quays is very much part of our 2040 plan. It's part of the future development of this city, which is a magnificent city, but has the capacity to grow and fulfill its potential. But it needs investment. It needs policy certainty. It needs the government willing to spend over 100 million euros putting in place the infrastructure that's needed to bring this project to life. And we are committing to doing that. We've committed in the past, and I'll reinforce that commitment today. We're not doing it as some kind of election stunt. This is something that is very much part of Fine Gael policy. If we're going to ensure that cities like Waterford and Cork and Limerick and Galway grow to their full potential, create counterbalance to the dominance of Dublin in terms of investment opportunity, jobs opportunities, and a decent quality of life, then we have to be willing to invest significant amounts of public money to bring those projects to reality. And that is the case for the North Quays project. There's a significant private sector interest that wants to spend hundreds of millions of euros too. But in order to release that potential, then the state has to commit to a significant amount of money for infrastructure to access, particularly in relation to bridges, but also other infrastructure too. The local authority here in Waterford has committed to spending up to 20 or 30 million euros, I think. But the state will need to do more, and we are committed to that. We have a fund to do that. There's an urban development fund that is in place now, and we will see over the next 4 to 5 years, which is the timeline for this project anyway, a release of significant funding to make sure that this goes ahead. Because I think a lot of people, because of the scale and ambition of this project, a lot of people are asking the question, is this for real? And let me tell you, it is. And we see this really as sort of the heartbeat, if you like, for the next stage of development of Waterford City.
Do you have any problem working with a company that is very closely connected with the Saudi Arabian regime?
Well, it's not me working with that company.
No,
this is a project. No, but this is a project that's led by Waterford at a local government level.
So you don't have a problem with
it? They have applied for significant funding to generate up to 6,500 extra jobs at the heart of Waterford City. People like John Cummins and others have been huge advocates for this project, and we will see it through.
Okay. In terms of Waterford Airport, can you guarantee that there will be development of Waterford Airport and that there will be planes, big planes, flying out of Waterford Airport?
Well, I can't guarantee the planes, but I can guarantee the infrastructure. Shane Ross came to government with a recommendation for funding that was supported and approved by government.
So it's definitely going to happen.
What's needed, the advice that we've been given is that the runway needs to be upgraded in Waterford Airport,
Yes.
in order to attract back commercial traffic. The local authority and indeed private sector interests have agreed to put money into that, as long as the government would too. And we have responded to that call positively. So that infrastructure is going to be put in place. And then it's obviously up to the team at Waterford Airport to attract in the commercial airlines to start flying people, in and out of Waterford again.
How old are you, Simon Coveney?
How old am I? I'm 47.
Okay, I'm 49, okay? We're just about hitting the area where we're getting into difficulty and possible difficulty regarding heart matters.
Yeah.
I said this to Fianna Fáil leader when he was in last time. You're a Cork man as well. There's a possibility that if I got a heart attack at a weekend, I'd be in an ambulance on the way down to Cork.
Look, I mean,
it's not right, is it?
Well, the cath lab
Is it
issue has been a real issue of contention, I know, in Waterford for quite some time.
Just on a personal level, can I just ask you about that? Again, I'm in the same situation as yourself. Thankfully, fairly healthy. It's not right. Forget about the economics of this, the morality of this.
Look, I mean, I'm not a health expert, and I don't pretend to be. What we have done is we have committed now to the building of a second cath lab in Waterford Hospital. That's after a lot of discussion and consultation with the HSE, the Department of Health, commitments that have been made by Simon Harris and the government, in consultation with medical interests here in Waterford. That allows us, by committing to a second cath lab, that allows us to provide 24/7 cardiac care out of Waterford. There is an ongoing assessment which is being independently done by an expert, and I think everybody accepts he is an expert, into cardiac care nationally. And if his recommendation in the next short number of weeks and months, because I think it is that current, is that there should be 24/7 cardiac care in Waterford General Hospital, well then we will have the capacity to do that.
Waterford Regional Hospital.
Regional Hospital, I should say. We will have the capacity to do that, and the investment is being put in place to make sure that happens. In the meantime,
and if that gentleman in question decides, no, we do not have the population base to warrant putting in 7 cardiologists and whatever the teams may be, then we will not get 24/7 care. It may be 8 to 8 care.
But look, we have always made the case, and this isn't just about Waterford, it's about hospital care and healthcare across the country. We've got to make decisions on the basis of medical experts making recommendations. What we are doing politically is we're putting the capacity now in place to be able to implement whatever recommendation Professor Nolan makes.
Yes.
And if that's 24/7 cardiac care in Waterford, that will be done. In the meantime, we have moved ahead to increase the opening hours for the existing cath lab, to take on the extra staff to do that. And so, I think we've behaved responsibly here. We've invested very heavily in healthcare in Waterford, and we will continue to do that, whether that's a new hospice, whether it's a significant new wing on the hospital, the Dunmore wing, whether it's the Sláinte Care plan, which I think prioritises Waterford to play a bigger role in relation to national hospital care, or whether it's the cath lab, putting in a second cath lab to make sure that if the recommendation is, and like we'll see it, as I say, in a few weeks' time, is for 24/7 care, well then we can do that.
It's one of those issues, unfortunately, for yourselves as a government, that it goes to the heart of the perception of how the government may view different regions. And again, I go back to the thing, there is a morality here on this, and economics comes into it as well, of course. But this idea, and I'm not being flippant.
Economics is not the consideration here. Money has not been the problem here. The only issue here is about trying to ensure that we provide the best cardiac care for people in the southeast.
We don't have the best.
And if that means 24/7 cardiac care, then that will be provided, and we will have the infrastructure and investment and commitment around extra staffing to do that. Simon Harris has been crystal clear on that. In fact, I rang him this morning on the way down before doing this interview to make sure that I could be as clear as I have been.
Okay.
But our Fine Gael people in Waterford have been very strong on this, and they continue to be strong on this, and that is why money is not the issue here.
Money is not the issue. Okay, I've just presented you with a sheet there where there's a number of details regarding beds and stuff like that. So University Hospital Waterford compared to Cork UH, Galway UH, Limerick UH, inpatient beds, baseline population, hospital budgets, staff, spend per citizen, citizen per staff, citizen per bed. Again, Waterford, University Hospital Waterford comes across and comes down on this list as in a bad place. There's great people working there, we know that.
Yeah.
There's a perception.
And there's been huge investment.
Eileen Dunn said it on the news last night. Waterford is perceived as the forgotten city.
Well, look, I think what
And
I'm
it's not
talking
the government's fault.
No, it's not. Well, first of all, Waterford is not the forgotten city, not by a long shot. Let me just remind people of where we were 9 years ago when Fine Gael came into government, because Waterford at that time, or the southeast, had an unemployment level of over 20%. We now have an unemployment level of around 5%. So we are not quite there, but we're close to full employment in this region, driven by Waterford City. We're the government that wants to make Waterford Institute of Technology a technological university and have been pushing strongly for that. We're the government that has invested very significantly in healthcare. Some of the projects that I spoke about earlier, a new hospice,
Yes.
A significant new wing to the hospital, adding significant numbers of beds. We have committed to the second cath lab and to 24/7 cardiac care, if that's what the medical recommendation is. Waterford is a changing place. The quality of life is improving here. We're seeing more houses being built now because there are housing pressures here too, like there are in other parts of the country, and
Yes.
we're seeing significant progress there. We've seen the number of rough sleepers in Waterford City drop significantly in recent months, and the number of homeless families drop significantly too. So this is a city moving in the right direction. We need to talk it up rather than talk it down. And Fine Gael is passionate about creating counterbalances to Dublin and the dominance of the East Coast in relation to economic development, in relation to quality of life. And that is why, whether it's public transport, whether it's housing, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, all of these things are in a process of change and growth in Waterford at the moment, and will continue under Fine Gael if we can stay in government.
And that process needs to be speeded up from what the figures I just presented you and from what people have been saying to me and to others on this programme.
No.
Do you know where I'm coming
I
from?
accept, by the way, there is a perception in Waterford, particularly around the hospital, that it hasn't received the same priority as hospitals potentially in other parts of the country.
More than a perception.
I think that if you look at the actual investment that's been made and the priority that's been given, the facts would suggest something different, and that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
WLR, Imro Local Station of the Year.